It's time for Be in the Driver's Seat with Regina, the Queen of Car Loans, and mental health expert, Dr. Teresa Moore. A Saturday morning mix of cars, credit, and wellness created just for you.
Brought to you by Joe Lunghamer Chevrolet of Waterford.
Plan your next vehicle purchase or get your credit rolling in the right direction with Regina today. And now, Regina, the Queen of Car Loans, and Dr. Teresa Moore.
Good morning. Happy Saturday. And you listening to Be in the Driver's Seat, and I am your girl, Regina, the Queen of Car Loans.
Good morning, everybody. It's Dr. T. Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday, everyone. So we are going to give let's just take a minute to bow our heads and pray for Oxford School District. Mr. Trust the Process, Gil Garrett, is not here this morning. Actually, he is taking care of business in Oxford School District because a student committed suicide. And, you know, this is I want to say this is huge. This is bad. Yeah. You know, it's huge and it's bad, okay? Yeah. And the reason it's bad is because what makes you want to commit suicide?
So, Regina, you know, this is one of the areas that is really murky, right? Because, you know, students now are being faced with so many pressures that they feel like it's more easier just to take their life than to have to deal with the necessary trauma that they're going through. So to all the families that have been affected, to all the students who feel like there is no hope, there is always hope. So you can reach out to someone right now. For those who are suffering and they need a therapist, you can go to psychologytoday.com and put your zip code in, and you will have an opportunity to pick a therapist in your area. So our hearts are going out to those that are affected from someone who have taken their lives. We are praying for you. Let peace and comfort be your portion.
So this leads today to the word of the day, or the word of the week, pressure. And this goes right with suicide. Pressure. You know, why do you let things get to you so much that you're pressured to make a decision, or you just can't sit back? Or I'm going to just give you an example, okay? You know, I just got to put the car business in there. So you come to the dealership and you look to get into a vehicle. I'm laughing because I put pressure on you, right? I do.
Indeed.
And I'm in sales. So if I don't sell a car, I don't make no money, right? I have to get you to make a decision. Either you're going to make one now or you're going to make one soon. Or you're going to just go somewhere else. But I put the pressure on you. But with the minute I feel that you click on my link on, whether it's on Facebook, you hear my radio commercial, the minute you give me permission and you reach out to me and I get your information, you automatically give me permission to what? Put the pressure on. But are you ready? Are you ready? When I think about pressure, I think about, you know, when I go to the store, right? When I go to, I went to ABC Warehouse yesterday, right? And I purchased a radio for one of my favorite listeners. And you know what? I don't even want to call his name because I got to get permission to call his name. I called his name out before on the show, but I purchased a radio for one of my listeners. And he just got a new apartment and he needed a radio. Now, his kids can buy him anything he needs, but the Queen wanted to do it. I wanted to do it because, you know, it was from me. Mm-hmm. You know, it's different when you do it for someone than that person buying their own whatever they need, right? Yeah. But to me, it's like, I just wanted to give that shout out real quick, but pressure, what is pressure? Uh-huh. I put the pressure on all the time. But then when I went into ABC Warehouse yesterday, I really didn't get no pressure. I got greeted. You know, she asked me what I was looking for. And I told her I'd already been a couple places because the radio that I actually got, they don't make the radio, the CD players, and the tape players together anymore. You really have to search for it. Mm-hmm. But what I did was, she did not pressure me. Mm-hmm. It was like low pressure. She greeted me, she followed me a little bit, and then I asked questions. Mm-hmm. So pressure, why do we let people pressure us or things or the world?
I think that's just a part of the world, right? We are often faced with pressures, demands and things like that. So as a therapist, my job is to help those who are dealing with pressures and stress to find new coping mechanisms, right? And I help them negotiate their emotions. And so sometimes the pressure that one is feeling, we may not necessarily think that it is so tumultuous, like it's so difficult, but to someone else, they think that, this is hard and they need some help. So they come and sit in front of me. And so my job is to help alleviate that pressure. But as a therapist, I am going to not pressure you, but I may push you to do some things. And so that's leading up even today's pressure topic, Regina. I'm excited because we're going to talk about triggers versus truth today. And sometimes when you put pressure as a therapist on someone, that it triggers them because they don't really want to face the truth of what's going on with them. So yeah, pressure, sometimes you have to apply pressure. But sometimes too much pressure will cause a negative thing to happen.
So triggers are basically, it's pressure. Yeah. Because if somebody puts you into a certain situation and they pressure you, that's going to have you trigger something to happen or make you feel a certain way. Yeah, right? Yeah. Let me just give it a real time here. I might get kicked later by Dr. T. So I made a comment to Dr. T this morning, and she over there shaking her head. I made a comment to her this morning because I want her to be a part of this dream team I'm putting together. And I'm putting on the spot. And the dream team is, financial literacy, helping people get their credit together. It's helping people live that life where you can go buy what you want and when you want it. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be an expensive car. It doesn't have to be an expensive house. It's something that you want that you can afford in your budget. We want the people to know about you can get your credit report, your rent reported to your credit report. And that's why we have Kathy Washington that comes on out of Atlanta, Georgia. She's our financial coach. But I want Dr. T to be a part of that. And she told me, stop putting all the pressure on. I said, now you get a chance to talk on the air. But I said, Dr. T, I'm in sales. When I offer something, it ain't about when you want it, right? It's about when I'm offering it. And she was like, well, no, I got to do my homework. I got to do this. I got to do that. She's waiting me to finish, and I'm not done yet. So it's like when I offer a deal, or it ain't a deal, when I offer you to be a part of this, it's like, I don't ask everybody to be a part, right? But she did have a point. She said, Regina, let me do my research, right? And then I'll get back with you. And I said, that's fine, but that deal might not be on the table, Dr. T. And in other words, she didn't say nothing. So you know what that means? She don't care. Go ahead, Dr. T. You got the floor.
So listeners, I also want you all to know this about me. I don't move unless I seek the counsel of the Lord, right?
Oh, amen.
And
amen.
So things that always sound good don't necessarily mean it's good for you. Not saying that it's not a good thing, but I'm going to do my due diligence because when I sign my name to something, I'm going to give it 100%. And if I know that I can't give you 100%, I ain't doing it because everything I do is going to be done in excellence because I represent God. And I ain't finna give Regina 50%. Just like I wouldn't give Fred Moore 50%. I'm gonna give 100% to what I put my name on.
That's very fair, and I appreciate that. I can't even knock you for that. But no, in sales, okay,
Y'all
right?
Hear this, right?
In sales, when somebody offers you something, don't always think it's gonna be on the table next month. And it's okay to say no. That's going back to pressure. It's okay to say no, I'm not ready. But no, I'm not ready can you get the same deal next month? Well, heck no, you can't get the same deal next month.
But you know what,
just
Regina?
so you know. And maybe you don't need that deal. Maybe you don't need it. So I appreciate it. She's trying to talk and I don't want her to.
She don't want me to, y'all. But look, what God has for me is for me. It'll be a better deal next month. If it ain't the deal on the table,
I'm glad you feel that way.
I feel like that.
I'm glad you feel that way.
He'll make it happen.
I'm glad you feel that way.
For
but
me,
just so you know, people, it could be coming to buy a car or anything, or it could be going to Macy's. You're not gonna get that same deal that you may want to get today that you may get next month. So anything, in some cases you may get a better deal. But with me, when it comes to certain things, that's why when I go places and I do things, I don't always go shopping for the best deal. I'm a salesperson, but when I'm comfortable, I may pay a little bit more. You know why? It's because I'm comfortable with that person. I don't have time to go 5 or 6 places to try to get that better deal. But when we come back, who do we got coming back on our next segment?
So I am super excited today. We got Dr. Shawn Fuqua. She is out of Georgia by way of Detroit. She is my mentor. She is the person that I actually followed in her footsteps to be a professor, to go on to graduate school, and to get the PhD. So I'm excited to have Dr. Shawn Fuqua, my mentor, come on today. So y'all stay tuned and get ready. We're talking about triggers versus trauma.
We'll be right back.
Looking to buy or sell your home? Whether you're relocating to Michigan from another state or another country, moving across town, upgrading, or downsizing, Brenda D. Davis from Century 21 Town and Country Real Estate is your locally known home purchase expert. Buying or selling your home is a complex process. Let Brenda simplify it every step of the way. Brenda D. Davis, the realtor that moves you. Call 248-909-9711 and get moving on your new home purchase or sale today. That's 248-909-9711. Call now.
Hi, Joe Lunghamer from Lunghamer Chevrolet here with Regina, the queen of car loans. What kind of deals you have right now, Regina?
This tax season, I'll match your down payment up to $500 on any new or used vehicle.
So if a customer brings $250,
I'll make it $750.
if they bring $500,
I'll make it $1,000.
when you come in, just ask for Regina, the queen of car loans.
Ha! It's good to be the queen of car loans.
Yes, Joe knows.
To find me and this limited time deal, Google Regina, the queen of car loans.
Chevrolet, find new roads.
Hi, I'm Dave Wilkie, Service Manager at Joe Lunghamer Chevrolet. Since the 1950s, Joe Lunghamer and his family have been honored to service your vehicles. With 112 years of combined service experience, we can take care of any concern you might have. From warranty work to routine oil changes, we treat your vehicle like our own. Call now to schedule a next service appointment at Joe Lunghamer Chevrolet. Stop by anytime, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Get your vehicle serviced right every time. Call 248-683-7100. That's 248-683-7100.
Chevrolet, find new roads.
You are still listening to Be in the Driver's Seat. I'm super excited today because you know what? I got 2 doctors in the house. Or let me say 2 doctors on the line. When does that happen? You know, this makes me want to go get doctor in front of my name. Psych. Just kidding. I'm going to stay in my lane because I know how to be in my lane. Dr. T?
Listen, I'm so excited everybody. I can't even get it together. I got my mentor, the one and only Dr. Shawn Fuqua on the line, who is better known as Dr. Shawn. So listen, everybody. Dr. Shawn has played one of the most memorable and valuable moments in my life have come through her. Number one, I was a student in her class at Baker College many years ago, and Dr. Shawn is the one who said, you know what, you should go on to graduate school. So she saw something in me that I didn't even see. She spoke words into me that I had never heard before, and she pushed me. So Dr. Shawn, I salute you today. Good morning, Dr. Shawn.
Good morning, and thank you, Doctor. It is so wonderful to be here, and yes, you were one of my first students, and to see how far you have come, it becomes overwhelming and amazing at the same time. So I'm so proud of you, and thank you for having me as your guest this morning.
Thank you. So listen, listeners, Dr. Shawn, the LPC, has almost 20 years working in mental health. She specializes in unearthing generational trauma in women. So that's huge, unearthing generational trauma in women. Dr. Shawn has studied African American women and the mother-daughter relationship. she also has learned a woman needs a safe place to release her concerns and fears. So she provides that safe space. So she does EMDR counseling and training. And so I just want everybody to know that I'm a fan, but she also helped me through my counseling, even going to be a therapist. She helped me. She was my supervisor. So Dr. Shawn, I'm, raving on you this morning, but tell the listeners a little bit about who Dr. Shawn Fuqua is.
Well, you said it so well. I like to consider myself a vessel first, and you are definitely an example of what that means and what that looks like. I am a licensed professional counselor, and that means that we are trained to do counseling and therapy. I also am a educator, and being an educator, you were one of my first students, and being an educator is where I teach human services. I teach psychology courses. I also teach at the master's level for counseling students. And you also mentioned that being a supervisor, and so people can understand that when you graduate and you do therapy, you have to work under someone for a few years and support them in their journey in becoming fully licensed, and so I also do that as well.
Yes, I'm so excited. So, Dr. Shawn, what influenced you to become a therapist? Like, what made you say, you know what, this is my field, I want to do this, I am feeling this? What inspired you?
Funny story. So I'm like, I can't believe I'm saying this. So I actually had no desire to be a therapist when I first started out. And, as a believer, you have an idea how you want things to go, and then God shows up and puts you in another direction. My background is in business, and I wanted to own a business. And part of that, one of my first jobs was being an auditor for Head Start and making sure that the centers were compliant. And during that time, people would come and share these very heart-wrenching stories with me, and just things that they were going through. And I said, okay, I want to be able to listen. I want to be able to give them encouraging words. And when I went to go for a graduate degree, which was originally a master's in business, it was someone that I worked with, and it was like, you should think about going into counseling. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Yeah, whatever. But even then, I said I would get the degree, and I would still do workshops and speak to families. I just didn't think I wanted to do the one-on-one thing. And I got into the class, had a wonderful experience with Siena Heights. I think I can say that because you are a graduate of Siena Heights as well. And I realized, like, this was greater than me, if you understand what I'm saying. Like, you just know you're in the right place at the right time. And then, as I said, being a vessel, I just said, okay, I want to be used to help and heal. And there is a difference. And once you accept your purpose, doors begin to open for you. And that's just kind of how I started and where I am now. The teaching, I ended up teaching at Baker full-time during that. And I think it was just being open to the purpose. Even though I didn't think I wanted to do that, it was supposed to be. And so I'm glad that I'm here now. And you are an example of that, Dr. Moore, and I just appreciate it.
A product of a product. Did I say that right?
Yes,
no.
Yes.
So wow, okay. That's a difference when you can put what you believe in and you speak it into someone else, and then they just respond and do exactly what you want them to do. That's God. But I got this question in the beginning. Dr. T said, was it unearthing trauma in women? Yeah. Let's expand on that one. I'm just confused about that part. What does that mean, Doctor?
So it's not just a big fancy word. When we talk about generational traumas, you hear it more nowadays. But the woman is also a vessel in many ways. We speak life with our words. We also bring life forth with our bodies. But in who we are and how we touch others, we are a life force. And if you happen to go through things that have hurt you or that has brought along some damage or that has impeded your spirit, it becomes important that you get back to where you have been called to be as a woman, one who encourages life and speaks life. And so when I work with people, I tell them I work mind, body, and spirit. And what that is, the mind is my educational training. The spirit just comes from my belief, my own spiritual walk. And then the body also is about how you treat your body, what you put into your body, food, who you allow into your body. You can figure that part out. And then how you take care of your body. And so when we go on this journey, I said there's a difference between helping and healing. Healing is where we're touching the mind, body, and spirit. So when I talk about unearthing, I'm going into the spirit to bring it all the way up so your body can be a life force for whoever you come in contact with. So that's what you get when you're working with me in therapy.
Wow. That's not what I was expecting. That's a lot. I mean, that's going down to the core.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
That's exactly what we want. We want to get to the core, the root of the matter. Listen, Dr. Shawn, who is your mentor?
Oh, that's a good question. So first, I do want to say Dr. Cheryl Merchant, who is also my business partner, and she's been on this walk herself. She is definitely a mentor and an example of being called to your purpose and walking in your purpose and just owning that. Dr. Pat McDonald, who was my instructor,
Mine too.
Just retired in 2022 from Siena Heights. Dr. McDonald was that one who spoke to me and was like, you can do what you want to do with this degree. She's like, if you don't want to do therapy, that's fine, but just be able to listen. And so she was one of the first women who just taught me how to listen and be ready to answer the call. And then I guess it would be so many other ones, my mother, my aunts, my grandmother, who just poured into me in terms of just being able to walk with your head high. And it was more than just education or more than just therapy. It's about being a woman. And I think that's what led me to want to focus on women in doing therapy.
Dr. Shawn, one of the things I learned when I was in supervision with you is sometimes you have to stare at the wall. Sometimes people come in front of you and you literally have to stare at the wall. So tell the listeners, how do you negotiate your emotions when you're dealing with someone who has something so traumatic that has happened to them and you're trying to help them? How do you negotiate your emotions?
One of the things that I do, it's funny because we did talk about staring at the wall. I can't believe you remember that.
I do.
The emotional container is what I call it, or when I'm in therapy or if I'm teaching about it, your file cabinet. And so, I want people to know emotions cannot be ignored and should not be ignored, but just because you're feeling them does not mean that they have to be put upon the other person. And so a lot of times when you're working in therapy and you're dealing with these very heavy, latent, burden issues, I put it in the emotional container, and it's just a holding space. So I'm still able to give you empathy and connect with you, but maybe after the session, that's where I go and I might shed my tears or pray about a situation or just find myself outside in my backyard being still and being quiet. So I didn't know it had a name, Dr. Moore. This is the staring at the wall, but we call it the emotional container. And so that's how I do. That's what I use.
That is amazing. I call it emotional toolbox. So I really do learn from you, and I keep those things. But what's amazing? We're talking about, in a few minutes, I know we're going to break soon. We're going to talk about triggers versus truth. So as a therapist, have you ever encountered a session where you were triggered yourself?
That's a good question. Yes. I mean, if you are a therapist that wants to connect with people, you are going to connect through those emotions and those feelings. This is what we want our clients to do. This is what I want my students to do, my supervisees. And so the thing is, what happens to you when you have that connection, when you have that trigger. And so if you have a trigger, the question is, how deep does it go? And that's why self-reflection really has to be a part of the conversation, not just in therapy, but just yourself. Can you self-reflect? And that way we can talk about, is this something that I need to go to therapy for, even though I'm a therapist? Is there some unresolved issue that I'm still going through? Or am I just being triggered because it's an emotion? I am human, and I have empathy for the person. And so that would be kind of how you decide, if this is a trigger versus a truth.
So do you find women need more therapy than men because you chose to focus on women? How did you arrive at saying, okay, you know what, I want to choose women? Because, that just came to me about a couple minutes ago, so I figured I wanted to ask you that.
So to answer, no, if men probably needed more, and people will probably be in my inbox or something later, but we all can benefit from therapy. Absolutely. It's just that women tend to seek out therapy more because we do get into feelings and emotions. And if you think about our modern day society, we don't encourage people to feel, and it's beginning to change. But no, it's not that it's a woman over a man. It's just women tend to seek therapy more than women do. But what made me focus on women is, number one, I am a woman. And I have 2 daughters. I come from a woman. I mentioned my mother, my aunts, my grandmothers pouring into me, and just knowing that if she has a safe place to talk, and he too, right? If he has a safe place to talk, because I just started focusing on women about 4 years ago, we do better. Reaching into that place of vulnerability. Vulnerability is not a weakness; it is a strength, people. And you have to get in touch with it. It is not a comfortable place. It's often uncomfortable, but that is the thing that allows you to expand on your human experience is being in touch with your vulnerability. And so a lot of times women are a little more comfortable with that.
That's good. As a therapist, I see that, when we're talking about triggers, sometimes in session, a client will get triggered and then they will start avoiding you. So have you experienced a lot of that? They'll start, maybe they will not return to the session, or maybe they'll get in a defense mode. And so how have you moved past that? Because, sometimes, especially when you're getting ready to get a breakthrough, you see the breakthrough coming and they become triggered, and now it's a shutdown. How do you, negotiate that and that, those emotions with your client at that time?
One of the first things that I would say to someone who is a therapist is that you want to explain to the people who are sitting on your couch or the people who are on your screen that sometimes this is going to be uncomfortable. So this is the first thing, and you have to let them know part of that discomfort is what I call the birthing process, or the process that you have to go through to get to something new or something better. So that's the first thing to explain to them. That's when it's getting ready to happen. If you find that they shut down or do not want to come back, I always do an emotional check-in. I may send a text message, or I may call. It could be an email. Hey, I'm just checking on you to make sure everything is okay. And then also as a therapist, you have to know when it's happening too. And you ease in. You know what I mean? We're not here to push people. We're here to walk with them side by side. So I'm not behind you. I'm on the side of you. And if I recognize you are afraid, I'm going to ask you, you want to slow down here? And I let them be in the driver's seat. Love
it. It's funny you say that, because we talked about pressure. That was the word of the week, pressure, because we have a student that committed suicide in Oxford School District, and our one of our co-hosts, he's not on today because he's a sheriff, he's a president of the school board, so he's not here. And word to the pressure. So you just went back and you just said, hey, you can't pressure. Because then you bring you know, and you ask questions. In other words, you say things to let them know, are you ready to talk about this, right?
Correct.
And so you won't push that person, because after you won't push that person off the ledge, because when you're talking to them, if you don't know how to talk to them, you're going to push them off that ledge, and they're going to be off that ledge when they're done. On the screen talking to you or in person.
Yes.
So, Dr. Fuqua, how do you balance it all? How do you balance being Dr. Shawn Fuqua, wife, daughter? Like, how do you balance it all?
The key in that is self-care, and it's a word that we are using more nowadays. But I tell people real self-care is how do you care for yourself on the inside, not just self-maintenance, getting your hair done, nails done, massages, exercise. All of those things are wonderful and a part of it. But the self-care is really how do you nurture your spirit, and so that can come in various ways. That can come in church. That can come in meditation. That can come in still time. For me, it's also spending time with my husband, my children, and myself. So being by myself, spending time with my sorors, my friends, my cousins, laughing, but just making sure that I check in on Shawn, not Dr. Shawn, not Mrs. Fuqua, not Rushan, Shawn, to make sure that she's good and she's okay.
Yes. So, Dr. Shawn, I am so excited. Thank you for joining us today. Listen, can you tell our listeners how can they get in touch with you and the link to your book?
So you can follow me on all social media platforms. That is Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn. If you're looking to make a professional connection, I'm at DrShawnThelPC. So that's Dr. Shawn, the LPC. And you put that in, you should be able to find me anywhere. And then on Instagram, I do have a link in my Instagram profile to the book, which is Growing Places with Bailey, which is my children's book series that talks about how to have those conversations with young children about emotional wellness and their feelings and how to let them express their feelings, that kind of thing. And so hopefully, if you have young children or grandchildren in your life, to pick the book up so you can start the conversations. Questions in the back for parents and counselors, educators, to start that dialogue with our little ones.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shawn. We love you, and we'll be right back after we take this break.
Hi, I'm Dave Wilkie, Service Manager at Joe Lunghamer Chevrolet. Since the 1950s, Joe Lunghamer and his family have been honored to service your vehicles. With 112 years of combined service experience, we can take care of any concern you might have. From warranty work to routine oil changes, we treat your vehicle like our own. Call now to schedule a next service appointment at Joe Lunghamer Chevrolet. Stop by anytime, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Get your vehicle serviced right every time. Call 248-683-7100. That's 248-683-7100.
Chevrolet. Find new roads.
We're back, and you're still listening to Be in the Driver's Seat. And our next guest is Maurice
Sav'age.
I met Maurice at a day party that the Andersons had. And, you know, this guy just kind of just blew me off my feet because I met him with Krista Williams. And the reason I say he blew me off my feet was because he was so smooth. And I'm not talking about smooth far as trying to talk to me or I'm attracted to him because he is married. Smooth where his conversation was smooth. His smile was smooth. His hair was smooth. I mean, he wears long braids, and you know, I kudos to the wife because I don't know if the wife braided his hair or he has someone braids his hair. But Maurice is a veteran, an author, a concert promoter, a business consultant. He's originally from Detroit. But he was in for the weekend. That's why I met him at the day party. But he currently lives in Texas. So, Maurice, welcome to the show. Welcome to Be in the Driver's Seat. And thanks for calling in this morning.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm just happy to be part of what y'all got going on.
So let's give us a little bit about your background. Where you come from? You know, because I know today we're going to be talking about the play that actually turned into a book. But let's tell us a little bit about your background.
I said, I'm from Detroit, graduate of Murray Wright, class of 84.
Shout out to Murray Wright.
That's right, pilot for life. After leaving high school, I joined the military. I was artillery ranger most of my career. Loved being in the military.
So how long were you in the military?
I was in for 12 years before I was medically retired.
Okay. So you said made to retire?
Medically.
Medically retired?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was forced to retire. I was exposed to sarin gas in the Gulf War. Yeah.
So when you was exposed to it, that forced you to have to retire medically.
Yeah. So part of my testimony. So when I was exposed to sarin gas, it hit me like a bolt of lightning, and I knew my body was different. That was Wednesday. We returned from Desert Storm Friday. I was in the hospital at Landstuhl in the Wing of No Return. Yeah, there's a part of the hospital called the Wing of No Return because most people don't return from that wing.
Wow.
Wait a minute, it's a wing called No Return? And that's true? Did you know about that, Dr. T?
I did.
Okay, where I been?
Wow, it's not
my own
it's
world.
not talked about much though. It's not. But Maurice, you just said something that really inspired me to hurry up and ask you this question. So, life for you is different. You were in a wing called No Return, and you're on the line today.
Ma'am.
So, tell the listeners how, after coming off a wing of No Return, how has your life changed towards how you even live life daily, knowing that life could have been taken from you in that very moment?
Well, I was given 9 months to live. So when I was returned to my unit, I was in the artillery unit. And if you can't go to the field, you can't be in the unit.
Mm-hmm.
So they was telling me because I only have 9 months to live that it would probably bring morale down if they came to work and I was dead at the desk.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to find another job.
Mm-hmm.
So how did that make you feel, though? You're told you have 9 months to live. I pray to God, when it's my time that nobody got to give me an expiration date, the doctor. The Lord gives me an expiration date, and I don't know that expiration date. So how did that make you feel to know, for the doctors to tell you, hey, Maurice, you only have 9 months to live? Did you start living life like to the fullest?
It was still hard for me to accept. When I was in the hospital, guys from my unit would come and see me, and I would tell them that I was going to be okay, and they was like, "No, you not." I was
Wow.
like, "I'll be okay." They was like, "No, you not. If you see yourself, man." My best friend told me he loved me so much that he would kill me if I asked him to. And I was like, I'm not asking you to do that. So I said, you can laugh or you can cry about every situation. And because my heart was so heavy during that combat period, I suffer from PTSD, so it was like a balance in that. Yeah, if I have to die because of all the damage that I did in combat, I think my soul would be at peace with that. So that's pretty much how I accepted it. And then I had no vision for 30 days. I had a foreign substance on my eyes. So,
Wow.
This is my testimony. So when I first came to the Wing of No Return, the doctor was diagnosing the people. The first guy he went to, his pores had closed. He sweat internal. And I'm saying to myself, oh, my God, that kid is messed up. And then he go to the next guy bed, and he got, like, grapefruit size. He has a grapefruit size tumor on his brain. And I'm like, oh, my God, that kid is messed up. He go to the next guy bed, and he read off like 22 different things. Foreign substance on the eyes, eye pressure 42, liver, kidney, small, large intestines, infection, diabetes, glaucoma, hypertension, neuropathy, and I'm like, oh my God, that kid is really messed up. And then he hit my foot. He said, "You hear me talking to you, Shawn Sav'age?" I was like,
oh wow, wow.
Yeah.
So he was talking to you. So you talking about a testimony. When the hand of the Lord is on you, there is nothing nobody can do.
Amen.
So
Say it again. Say it again.
When the hand of the Lord is upon you. So I know life for you turned. Once you got out of that bed, I know you never looked at life the same again. So I can imagine your testimony, that the things that you tell people daily, it is not something you heard, but it's because you tasted the Lord yourself and you know he's good because you are here today. Man.
Well, it's for you to go around, Maurice, to hear the doctor go around to other individuals in the bed in the same room. Mm-hmm. You didn't even have your own private room. You had a room with everybody else. And to be able to hear everybody what the doctor is saying, that would have put me on the floor. And then for him to kick me and say, "Do you hear what I'm saying?" Because I wanted to kick him back and say, "You know what? Yeah, I hear you. What you want me to say?" Well, you didn't give me an expiration date, dude. God only gives me an expiration date, doctor, not you. That's the problem with man these days. The doctors always want to feel they got the final say. You have the final say of expiration. No, you don't.
But you don't. God has the final say. Even when doctors give you an estimated time, you have to have your sure foundation has to be in God. And you have to know that is when God says it's time to go.
Yeah, so I guess going forward from that point, life did seem different, trying to accept all the things I was going through and having an 18-month-old son that I was responsible for. It was different. And I think my son's attention sort of centered me. I wasn't as hostile as most of the people who suffer from PTSD because, I had to focus on my little guy.
Wow. So, Maurice, what year was that?
That was 1991.
Wow, that was 31 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow, that was 31 years ago. So, Maurice, 31 years later, so you had a 9-month death sentence, and it's 31 years later. Look at God. Come on, you are a walking testimony. Isn't he good? So, Maurice, tell the listeners now, for those that are listening on the line, tell them that, what does today feel like? Like, you're on the radio today talking about something that happened 31 years ago. Tell us how that feel today.
Every day I wake up, I commit to my promise to try to help one person. Every day, because I know every day is a gift. So if I can help somebody understand something or bridge the gap for them or just enlighten them in some type of way, I think that's my calling. That's my give back.
Wow.
So this leads into, we want to talk about the play that actually led to a book. Let's talk about that. Give us some nuggets. No, just tell us about the play that turned into a book.
The play was wrote by Professor Robert Sims. So he was the guy before Tyler Perry. And
why do you call him the guy before Tyler Perry?
Tyler Perry was the guy who started doing plays. Most people remember Tyler Perry, but there were people doing plays before Tyler Perry. And when I came, I was stationed in Oklahoma, and I came through Texas, and I seen one of the Professor plays. Again, being from Detroit, you see things differently, So being exposed to a play that was so country, but it was relatable. Mm-hmm. So it sort of got me there, and then later in life, I crossed paths with the professor again, and he's my little brother client.
Wow. So, Maurice, what is the name of the play?
The original play was The Streets Can't Have Our Boys.
Okay, The Streets Can't Have Our Boys.
The Streets Can't Have Our Boys. Where did that topic come from? The Streets Can't Have My Boys.
Professor Robert Sims was the original playwright. I took his manuscript and I read it, and I thought that it would have a real appeal to the military with just a couple of tweaks and giving it the perspective of a Gold Star widow, and exposing some of the troubles that people have when they go to the VA, trying to get assistance as far as medical or trying to get their benefits straight. I took the opportunity in this book to roadmap some of those things. I call them VA remedies.
I like that, VA remedies. So is this how you got the majority of your insight to help others get government contracts, so that they can get their content out there? Is that how you were able to negotiate
experience, that? Yeah. Okay. I know that everything has a rhythm, a pattern, a logic. So if I can figure out how that particular entity does business, I can figure out how to fast track it and create a funnel plan to get you from A to Z, skipping maybe 13 steps.
Wow, that's huge. Well, Maurice, I got a burning question.
Burning question?
Yeah, because your last name.
She said a burning question.
Your last name, you said your last name was Savage, right? How did you get this last name? I'm curious.
My birth name is Savage. When I retired from the military, Savage was a good name, but it wasn't a name that allows you to maneuver. So I changed it to Sav'age, and it got me in front of people. And if I can get in front of you, I can pretty much, wrap my tongue around you. So I'm good. So it was a way to get in.
So we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back. So Maurice can continue to wrap his tongue around whatever. He said once he talked to you, he gonna be able to wrap it around you and get you to be on the same page. I'm assuming that's what he means. We'll be right back.
Hi, Joe Lunghamer from Lunghamer Chevrolet here with Regina, the Queen of Car Loans. What kind of deals you have right now, Regina?
This tax season, I'll match your down payment up to $500 on any new or used vehicle.
So if a customer brings $250,
I'll make it $750.
If they bring $500,
I'll make it $1,000.
When you come in, just ask for Regina, the Queen of Car Loans.
Ha! It's good to be the Queen of Car Loans.
Yes, Joe knows.
To find me and this limited time deal, Google Regina, the Queen of Car Loans.
Chevrolet, find new roads.
Looking to buy or sell your home? Whether you're relocating to Michigan from another state or another country, moving across town, upgrading, or downsizing, Brenda D. Davis from Century 21 Town and Country Real Estate is your locally known home purchase expert. Buying or selling your home is a complex process. Let Brenda simplify it every step of the way. Brenda D. Davis, the realtor that moves you. Call 248-909-9711 and get moving on your new home purchase or sale today. That's 248-909-9711. Call now.
Hi, I'm Dave Wilkie, Service Manager at Joe Lunghamer Chevrolet. Since the 1950s, Joe Lunghamer and his family have been honored to service your vehicles. With 112 years of combined service experience, we can take care of any concern you might have. From warranty work to routine oil changes, we treat your vehicle like our own. Call now to schedule a next service appointment at Joe Lunghamer Chevrolet. Stop by anytime, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Get your vehicle serviced right every time. Call 248-683-7100. That's 248-683-7100.
Chevrolet, find new roads.
So we're still talking to Maurice, and before we went to break, we're talking about him wrapping his tongue, which I took it the way of wrapping your head around something to make it happen. Let's expound on that. I said expand, I think, early in the show, but when the other doctor was on, but let's expound on that, please. It's your floor.
Words, yeah. When a person words at a certain tone, it gets to you. It melts in your ear. And I think I have a power. That's one of my powers. I can make my words marinate.
Well, you do. I can't say that because your words, just your flow, you're speaking. Because I said early on is that I tuned in to your conversation. You were talking to Krista Williams, and I actually tuned into your conversation because the way you were talking was just smooth. It was like smooth. You know, I mean, it wasn't like he was trying to talk to us, right? Like women trying to throw game. It's just this whole conversation. You know, sometimes that people, men, or even could be women, they can open their mouth and say something. It's just so smooth, where it grabs your attention. That means you might be on my team doing something else because you're smooth talking. But you know, it's not about smooth talking. It's just that's what you were. I don't want to say God gave you that gift, but yeah, can I say that, Dr. T? God gave you that gift because you are. He gave you that gift.
Yeah. So Maurice, I'm interested. So let's get into the book. I know you said the streets can't have our boys, but then it was changed. The topic was the streets can't have our children. That's the book. So let's get into the book. Yeah. Give us some insight on what's the book about.
The book is about a Gold Star widow who loses her husband in the first chapters. Mm-hmm. And then she meets another veteran. And throughout the course of their relationship, they have 2 additional children. So we introduced a blended family, and we introduced it in a military environment. Mm-hmm. Most military kids have a hard time in school systems because they move around so much. So we brought a little bit of that into the story also.
Is the concept behind the name is to say that the streets can't have our children. Give me the concept behind the name of that title, because I know you said earlier, you know, that you were telling us a little bit, but why this title, The Street Can't Have Our Children? I know you said about the boys, but is that right in terms of let's get them into the military? What does that mean?
That's one perspective. The story does have past life, drug dealing, robbery. We also touch on the I'm not a snitch thing. Even though you may not be a snitch, the people that you encounter may think that you may snitch eventually. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. Introduce the blended family and the death thing. So a man raising another man's son, another thing that we introduce. Most people don't think about how hard it is for a man to raise another man's child, especially if the wife may still be in love with the man's ghost.
But I think that we do realize that. You know, I got to go back to I watch too much TV sometimes, right? But and then I read too, and then I just hear about things that I read that are happening in real life, right? So I believe honestly people do that happens every day, you know, and it's more real than ever. It's just a matter of fact of bringing it out in this book or bringing it out in the play, and then turn the play into a book. Because when I think about what you said about the kids, and you turn it to the boys, and you turn it to the children, I'm thinking all kinds of things in my head. My head is all over the place when you said that. My mind, not my head, my mind was all over the place. So I'm glad that you drilled it in, but I believe that's something that's happening all the time, and people are dealing with it, but they're not dealing with it in the right way.
Right. So, again, I think that, just my belief, I think that all young men
tell us your belief, please.
The military. I think that all young men should go into the military for at least 2 years, and in exchange get 4 years of education. Especially the kids from Detroit.
That's not my thought.
But why do you think? Well, why do you think the kids need to go to the military? People send them to the military so they wouldn't get in trouble, right? Then they send them to the military because they want them to do something with their lives, right? Instead of being on the street.
Right. So.
But now, hold on. But now people are picking up trades where they're not going to the military. So I'm sorry. Go ahead. I cut you off.
You can get a trade in the military too.
Okay. So you're military.
Yeah, I got most of my computer skills in the military.
So you know that's not my belief at all.
Mine either.
You know, many years ago, yes, you went to the military because you wanted your children to learn discipline. You wanted them to get
and you wanted to feed your family.
You did, and also if that child was not a scholar in school, the military would still take them, right? But it is not my belief that you have to go to the military, especially now because the millennials are showing us how things are getting done. And so I wanted to go back though, Maurice, about the
just
military.
Our opinion, Maurice.
Just my
our opinion.
Yeah, it's just my opinion.
We're still loving on you, but that's just our opinion.
So, Maurice, because you are the product of someone who has been to the military, you've out on honorable discharge or leave, and so now you can say that military has its advantages but also disadvantages because some of our kids don't come home.
True.
So what is the
my
message?
Son.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, my son, he lost his battle to his injuries from the battlefield, you know. So my son, I sent my son off to the Air Force, but he wanted to be in the Army. I don't understand, seeing that I went through so much and he witnessed that. I would have thought that he would have took an easier road. My son joined the military, became Special Forces, went to a combat zone twice within an 18-month period. So, yeah, my son was hollowed out. So we all don't come back. But there are jobs that you can take that won't hollow you out, that won't put you into a combat situation.
So
people run.
So I do want to say this, and I know I'll cut you off again. I think with the military, you got people that join the military, they're not even picking up the right skills in the military. I know a few. And they come out, it's like, you should have prepared yourself a little bit more, and not as your home. You should have prepared when you were in there for coming home. And then some of them don't do that. So let me ask you a question. Is there things within the military where they try to prepare them more when they come home, no matter what they do in the military? Where they're doing a trade, they're going to the war. So it's nobody in the military that really prepares them transition to home. It's just discharge, boom.
Your first line supervisor, if you got a good one, you know, he tried to carry you while you up under his care. But once you separate from the military, yeah, you have to figure it out on your own. And the last chapter of the book pretty much gives you an exit strategy. It's like you plan to go to work every day. You have to plan to be in the military. You have to plan to exit from the military. There's no book that shows you how to actually transition out to military. But the last chapter of this book tells you the things that you need to do at least 180 days out to start your transition.
So what are some I know we're going to bring you back again with Professor. What are your last words? What do you want to? How can you sum it up in less than 30 seconds?
Our heroes deserve better.
How can they buy your book?
It's on Kindle, Amazon.
Name of the book again, please.
The Streets Can't Have Our Children.
The Streets Can't Have Our Children. You heard it here right now. Maurice Sav'age or take the V out? Sav'age.
There you go.
Maurice Sav'age. All right, well, thanks for joining us, and we're going to have you back soon with you and the professor.
We look forward to a pilot for life.
All right, thank you.
Hi, Joe Lunghamer from Lunghamer Chevrolet here with Regina, the Queen of Car Loans. What kind of deals you have right now, Regina?
This tax season, I'll match your down payment up to $500 on any new or used vehicle.
So if a customer brings $250,
I'll make it $750.
If they bring $500,
I'll make it $1,000.
When you come in, just ask for Regina, the Queen of Car Loans.
Ha! It's good to be the Queen of Car Loans.
Yes, Joe knows.
To find me and this limited time deal, Google Regina, the Queen of Car Loans.
Chevrolet, find new roads.
Hi, I'm Dave Wilkie, Service Manager at Joe Lunghamer Chevrolet. Since the 1950s, Joe Lunghamer and his family have been honored to service your vehicles. With 112 years of combined service experience, we can take care of any concern you might have. From warranty work to routine oil changes, we treat your vehicle like our own. Call now to schedule a next service appointment at Joe Lunghamer Chevrolet. Stop by anytime, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Get your vehicle serviced right every time. Call 248-683-7100. That's 248-683-7100.
Chevrolet, find new roads.
We're back. We had to return real quick and close out the show. Thanks for listening to Be in the Driver's Seat. We'll be back same time, same place, next Saturday, 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. every Saturday morning when you're listening to Be in the Driver's Seat.
Happy Saturday, everybody. See you next week.
Have a great week.
You've been listening to Be in the Driver's Seat with Regina, the Queen of Car Loans, and mental health expert, Dr. Teresa Moore.
Brought to you by Joe Lunghamer Chevrolet of Waterford.
Be in the Driver's Seat, a Saturday morning mix of cars, credit, and wellness created just for you. From Regina, the Queen of Car Loans, and Dr. Teresa Moore, thank you for listening.